What's up, guys? I'm Miranda Alcaraz, and this is episode 11 of the More Than Nothing podcast. If you're watching this, we are here in a hotel in Middletown, New York, because we needed to fly out to get things ready for the 2020 Street Parking Summer Camp. And anyway, if you see people walking by this window back here, just enjoy them looking in and doing who knows what back there. I have a guest today, a longtime friend of mine, somebody that I've known longer than Julian, longer than almost, but not everyone, everyone on the street parking seminar staff. Chris Guardado. I always say his last name wrong.
Nailed it. That's so good.
So as you can see, if you're watching it, if you're not, I'm going to tell you what you would be saying is Chris is sitting here in his super hipster button-up flannel, which looks great, but he also has a sling because you just had surgery.
Yeah, I tore my pec tendon, clean off the humerus bone, and they went in there and put some screws in and reattached it. And yeah, 6 weeks of this awesome sling and then a few more weeks of PT, and hopefully I'll be back to it.
How long ago was your surgery?
Well, literally, probably to the minute, 1 week ago.
He would know to the minute, too. It's very much more organized than I have ever been in my life.
You're pretty organized. It's just, I don't know. It makes me tick, for sure.
So Chris works for us. He is our graphic designer, plus does a bunch of other random things for street parking. He wasn't an employee, but I would say as far as who's been around the longest inside of the street parking organization, other than me and Julian, he was helping out maybe before Julian was even helping me out, because it was before we even started posting anything or anything like that. You created the key logo. Yeah,
that was, oh man, to think that far back and just like seeing where it's gone. Yeah, it's crazy, but it started with you just saying, "Hey bro, like how, like can you create a logo?" We had talked about what you wanted to do, and I thought it was such a cool idea. And then I came across those files of like what I originally sent to you.
I remember.
And then I like the one that clearly stands out is the key. But
yeah.
I've been around for a while.
So Chris and I worked at Progenics together. He was the designer there, and I guess I was like the athlete manager / Instagram.
The amount of hats
I don't know that all of us wore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we worked together at Progenics, and Chris also before that had worked for a little clothing company called Ruka, which RVCA. Many people spell that wrong and they don't know how to, or say that wrong and they don't know how to say it. So Ruka, where you were a designer. So you've had some super cool jobs. You're with us now at Street Parking. But I wanted to talk about the episode today of like overcoming obstacles because of your current physical situation. Mm-hmm. I talk about all the time my neck injury or my knee injury or this or that, but I feel that there's a stigma with me because I was, for lack of a better term, I guess, a professional athlete and a trainer. People are like, oh, well, that's just you. That's just your personality. It was your whole life. So, of course, you're going to like continue working out and everyone that you're around is doing that. But you've never been... Like, you've always been focused on your career and graphic design, and you've always enjoyed fitness.
Yeah, I love it.
But it's never been something like, oh, I got to make a comeback or anything like that. So I wanted to talk about, like, how your mindset is with where you're at now. We're on the opposite side of the country from where we live. Traveling is an obstacle, and you're in that sling, but you're still making fitness happen on this trip. So I kind of wanted to talk about that and just change people's mindset about... Because usually things like that are where people fall off the wagon. And I'll say, people will be like, oh, well, I used to work out, but then I hurt my knee. Yeah. I used to work out, but then my favorites are when they're like, I got injured in high school. And I'm like, how old are you?
You're
40?
58.
Yeah, like, get over it. Like, let's do something. So I wanted to talk about kind of how your mindset has gone through, like from the day that you were injured, because you were on a roll hardcore with street parking workouts. So kind of say where you were at before you got injured.
Okay. Like you said, like I've never been an athlete. I've always been like an enthusiast of fitness, right? And I've been participating in like functional fitness since like 2008. And I've in the gym just kind of being that guy. And like you said, my career has always kind of come first and like accelerating that as much as possible, but like staying fit. I just don't want to look like a slob or sloppy.
What is it about fitness, since you weren't ever chasing like an athletic goal? What is it about fitness that you that attracted you to it? Is it just to make you look better? Is it lifestyle? Like what is it that attracted you to it?
To reinforce my lifestyle. Okay. Like living in Orange County, like wanting to surf better or go on like rucks with buddies or go backpack for a week and not ever have limitations. Like that's literally where it started. I was like a triathlon guy. Like, so I'm 6'2", soaking wet at 160 pounds.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
the greatest look. But no, it was always kind of to like reinforce and like be an average guy and go out and drink beers with the buddies and, you know, not feel bad about it or like, you know. But yeah, that's kind of like where it started. And then with the injury, I injured myself 2 days before we went to Hawaii. And I remember I like text Molly and I was like, hey bro, I'm pretty sure I tore my pec. I'm going to tell Miranda now. I tried calling her. She's like, let me know how it goes. So yeah, I mean, when we went to Hawaii, I was like crushing it in the garage, like doing it as much as possible, like street parking. I would say about 5 days a week, and like we've got a pretty good setup at home, and like doing as much as I could. This happens, and then instantly like bike riding goes out the window. Like even going to the park and throwing the ball for my dog, I was like dying. Yeah, because if this side fires a little bit, this side fires, and it was not a good situation. But yeah, it was one of those things like going into it where I was like, well, this is going to set me back in some capacity, but I can't let it stop me completely.
So what do you think it is? Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, they'll be on their fitness path and they're like, oh, well, I hurt my shoulder, so I'm just going to like order pizza and wings and I give up, and maybe once it's fixed, I'll think about starting again. So what do you think it is for you that prevented that from happening?
I mean, I love pizza, wings, and beer as much as the next person, like legit. But this is like in your journey, it's like merely like a blink of an eye, right? And if I like completely fall off the wagon, like what am I gonna do? Just like feel bad about myself? Like I can't. Like, yeah, this stinks. I'm in a sling. Like I can't move my arm. Like, but at the same time, like I just never looked at it as like a disabling situation where it's just like, cool, well, this happens, I'm gonna have to figure it out, but just keep going, because stopping is not an option, because I mean that's just not in my personality.
Yeah.
So like I have like wonderful people like you and our buddy Chris that like mentor, like fitness mentors, and I like North Stars, where I just get to like, okay, cool, well, they're always in my corner. They'll help me out. They'll help me figure it out if I ever get in a sticky situation.
And that's where I think it's so important to make fitness in some way a part of just who you are. Because, I mean, luckily it was your left hand. You're a designer. So luckily it's your left hand and you're right-handed, because that would have been a double like stab if it would have been your right hand.
It would have been a hard one to explain.
All right. So, but it's not like when people get injured, it's not like they stop going to work or showering or all these things that can be difficult when you're in a sling or in a cast or you're on crutches or whatever. You still got to take care of your kids or, you know, clean your house and things like that. So all of those things are just tasks that we don't really think about. Do I have an option here? And I think fitness needs to become that for people and develop that before, because something like this, you might not ever have surgery or a serious injury or something like that, but you will at some point have a tweak whether you're doing fitness or not. And I always bring this up because people are like, well, I'm scared to work out because I'm scared to get hurt. And I'm like, well, what happens when you're weak and tight and don't know how to like engage your muscles and your core, and then you try to like, I don't know, move your couch or something like that. People get injured doing that stuff, or slip and fall, or go skiing and whatever. Anything. Just living your life,
like
right? So
throwing a tennis ball, right? Like, it's just like life isn't going to stop. Like, I've made fitness a part of my life. Like, why would that have to stop too? I just have to be a little creative, right? And figure it out. So, I mean, it's been working out.
And then I think it's like important too, because people, it's so mental, because you're already going to be frustrated by a situation like that. But then allowing you to, and you might lose some, I mean, you're definitely going to lose strength in your upper body a little bit while you're on this recovery path. But there's no need to also lose all of your cardiovascular fitness and gain a bunch of weight and lose all of the strength in your legs, right? You still have 3 more working limbs that you can use. And I think people just give up on the whole thing and wait till they're healed, which there's been lots of studies that have talked about how movement and having blood flow in the body and bringing oxygen and blood flow to the injury is so important. And of course, you're going to get that specifically in that area when you go to PT, but even just your body as like one whole system. Your body is a system. It's not like separated parts. So
yeah, like spinal flexion. We talked about this the other week. Like, you know, once I am cleared to start using this arm, you know, using this arm is going to help this side. And your body's amazing, and it's gotten an interesting way of like figuring things out. And like, you know, I've never been a great squatter, right? I have long legs, and I just looked at it as like, oh, cool. Well, I get to squat more and help in an area where I'm deficient. So it's, I don't know. It's really cool, like going through it and understanding it and seeing it, and not like ever thinking of this as a negative, right? It's just like, oh, well, like there's always 2 sides, right? Like, I tore my pec. Well, I get to squat more. Cool.
So what, yesterday, what have you been doing? So your surgery was like a week ago.
Yeah.
What have you been doing for the past week?
So, oh, man.
Actually, let's go back. What did you do? So you injured, how long ago did you actually injure it?
2 days before Hawaii.
So
we
it was
left
like a month ago. No, 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Okay.
And like getting into the doctor was a challenge, and then getting that scheduled was a challenge. In my dad's situation, my dad had some heart surgery stuff.
Another like thing that would throw people completely off course. Right. That's like a whole different type of obstacle. For sure.
That's a completely different situation. But so when it happened, I was like, okay, bummer, whatever. I knew something was wrong. I would just use this side. I would come up to Vancouver, I would be doing workouts with you guys and be like, okay, cool. Well, I can't double kettlebell swing. I can still run. I'll do lower the weight, single arm swings, and do everything else. Or I can't wall ball. I'll just do, single arm thrusters. Kind of modifying it like that, and like going about it, and not ever like there's a modification for everything. And then just doing that, going to surgery. This happens. He cleared me to work out on Tuesday of this week. Today's Friday. And instantly I was like, awesome. I get to go and ride a bike, and I get to just move, because like even through the whole weekend I was like spinning, like, oh my goodness, like just sitting here. And
you just feel like you're just like rotting away.
Mentally, we had said I was melting into the bed. But yeah, so once I was cleared, it was such a huge relief. Like, cool. Like, Benny came over for a meeting, and I was like, dude, let's go work out. And he's like, I gotta go home. And I was like pumped to just go and sit on the erg bike. So all I've been doing this week has been like riding some kind of bike. Even here in the hotel, there's a recumbent stationary bike.
Yeah, you were crushing it yesterday.
It's so weird, but it does something, right? So I was doing that. The day before, I rode it for 100 calories, did 100 sit-ups, 100 calories, and then yesterday I did 50 cals, 50 lunges, 4 rounds. But it's just something, right? And yeah, hopefully I can start squatting a little more with like dumbbells just on one side and getting through it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a huge mental part of it too, because it's not like you're in there on the recumbent bike being like, yeah, I'm like gaining all of this fitness right now. It might be a little bit, I'm going to try to maintain as much of my fitness as I have, but it's also, once fitness has become a part of your lifestyle, and actually even if it's not, there are so many studies now of like how movement improves mood, decreases anxiety, can improve depression and all this stuff. And those things become like really difficult for people when they're like on bed rest and stuck inside. So even just like walking and stuff like that. I remember like 2 weeks after I had Knox, I wasn't allowed yet to do any sort of fitness, and I really didn't want to yet. Not until about 3 weeks did I start having that itch. But I did start taking pretty long walks with him because I wanted to sweat. And it was hot because we lived in SoCal still.
Full mermove.
So, I mean, I took him out when he was asleep in the stroller and put him in the shade in the stroller and just walked for like 45 minutes because I needed to be outside. I needed to sweat. And it's not like I was like, oh, yeah, I'm crushing fitness right now.
Back into it.
But it was just more for mentally to get the blood flow and sweat and everything. I think it's so important.
It's really easy to just get stuck in that, right? Like, oh, well, I'm inside. It's like, once it's a part of your life and like, it's a non-negotiable, right? Like, it's so a part of your day. Like, every day I look forward to like shutting off the computer, going in the garage, working out, getting it done, and then, you know, like, oh, I feel good. I feel refreshed, and like, I leave it there and then move on with my day. Like, just getting that endorphin release is like, it's so big for me, and I know for you and like everyone that's made it a part of their life, where you seek it and you like really get after it, just or look forward to it rather. And I mean, it's such a big part of my day, but I mean, it's years and years. It's like a skate rap for a long time. I didn't really do that stuff.
It always scares me when people have surgery or have like minor injuries, or even when I see people who reach out to me or on the Facebook group or whatever say that they stopped working out because of whatever issue that they have. Like, oh, I have lower back pain, so I don't work out, which lower back pain, that's awful. So many people have it. But what really scares me is when people have these situations come up and they decide to not work out at all. Right. Because the surrounding musculature to whatever your injury is just going to weaken at that point. And the chances of you making it worse, or even just everything getting tighter around like those issues, I don't think that people understand how much worse they're making it by not moving and strengthening the muscles around the situation. So like lower back pain, people are like, oh, I have lower back pain, so I don't work out, instead of figuring out what movements don't aggravate it to try to stay as strong as possible or strengthen their core or their hamstrings or their glutes. And this is like, I don't care if you even have to go into like a Globo gym and do like hamstring curls and like isolation movements to keep those individual muscle groups strong, because that's the only thing you can do. But the weaker the musculature is around, like if you have like a disc issue or something like that, the weaker your core gets and your glutes and hamstrings and everything, the worse that's going to become, and the more and more things are going to aggravate it, because you can't even like hold your structure together anymore. And you like hear so many stories of people who didn't work out for that reason for so long, and then went in and found something they could do, whether it was yoga, Pilates, something, and got stronger, and how much of it improved because of all of that. So that really scares me when people are like, oh, I do nothing because of X, Y, or Z injury.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's easy to make excuses, right? It's just like the easy way out. It's just I don't choose that option, and I know you don't. And like, I get one body, that's it, right? And I better take care of it. So I mean, like before they cut into me, I was like, we have a reverse hyper, and I was like, oh, cool, put this thing back together so I can use it. And
exactly, yeah.
Like, prepared everything, because I knew like, well, I got to take care of myself somehow, and I can't just like have a pity party like, oh, poor me, you know, I'm in a sling. Like, like you said, it's just one limb of four. So yeah, just setting myself up for success, and like just not yeah, I mean, kind of going back, like just never looking at it like a problem. It's
just like something to work around. It's something you gotta.
Yeah, it's a hiccup, and that's all it is. It's like, I mean, your neck was such a bigger, like, massive injury, right? And like, it was not just your neck; it was your neck and your hand,
my right hand.
So, I mean, you could be put up against the wall, and at any capacity, you could still do something.
Absolutely. Well, that was the next thing I was going to say is that it gives you actually such an opportunity when you have like a acute injury, like in one spot like that, like a surgery on your shoulder or your elbow or your knee, or I guess my neck is like exactly what you said. I guess I get to work on my squatting now. Like I did the same thing when my neck and my hand were messed up. It was like, well, basically the entire use of my upper body is out right now. So, and I couldn't really use any sort of weight or anything, number one, because I couldn't hold on to it because my hand was in a cast, and number two, because I wasn't supposed to load my like actual spine. So it's like, what can I do? And you start to get really creative, and you start to see these opportunities. Like I was doing 1,000 air squats a week, and to this day I'm like, this is why I have the leg stamina that I do, because 7 years ago, for however many weeks, I was just air squatting away and walking around the parking lot with a sled. I would go hiking and things like that. And I think instead of people seeing it as an opportunity to improve on other areas, they just kind of get frustrated. When my knee was messed up, it was all pull-ups, bench press, like everything.
Yeah, gymnast.
Upper body. It was the exact opposite, actually. So seeing those opportunities, and like you talking about, like, I guess I get to work on my squatting. And then it's an opportunity once you go through the PT and stuff, to relearn and maybe fix your technique for upper body movements.
Absolutely. So
that you can keep it safe. I think, coming in and almost like starting from scratch and practicing movements and things like that, and just slowing down.
Basics, right?
Is huge.
Yeah, I mean, the movement I did, I know I'm not the best at. And
tell them what you did. First of all, this is not a street parking workout.
No. I did a partner workout with my wife that is highly competitive.
She is an athlete.
She is. It was a partner workout, 40 minutes. Partner 1 rows, while partner 2 goes on a 800-meter trail run and then comes back. We did that. She's good. She's fast, whatever. And then the cash out was 12 pull-ups, 6 chest to bar, 3 bar muscle up.
Just three?
Oh, no. 12, 6, 3. Yeah, 12, 6, 3.
Was it number 1, 2, or 3 that did it?
Numero uno. Oh, but this is the thing. Captain CrossFit over here was like, you know what? I'm going to hold on. I'm going to do this unbroken. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
you like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chest to bar, and then I sit there and I'm like, here we go. Chicken wing.
Of course.
I'm not great at bar muscle ups. That's fine. Whatever.
You're tall.
This. Yeah. And this arm sneaks in, like it always does. For whatever reason, my left side
carrying your entire body weight.
Yeah. And then this arm's out a little bit, and I was like, cool. Well, I know how to sneak my arm in. And the second I went over and loaded this side, to start pressing out and get this arm in, it just felt like someone open palm punched me right here. Ugh. I fell off and immediately knew something was wrong. Like immediately, when like,
oh yeah,
your body's like, yo, stop, we're gonna shut this down. Like I knew something was wrong. It felt like it was numb from like my trap down to my wrist, and then pain kicked in, and I was like, oh, this is not good. Grabbed the bag of peas, put it on.
Frozen peas, guys. Frozen peas.
My wife is like, grew up on a farm, one of 6, big family like you, kind of like, suck it up, buttercup. She was like, oh, you probably just strained something or dislocated it. And goes on, and I was like, I don't know. Go home. That's when I called Molly. But it was bad. Like, I've shown you the photo.
Yeah.
The inside of my arm was black and blue. And I was like, well, something didn't happen in there. It happened up here. What's going on? And like, sure enough, the WebMD guy goes in.
WebMD?
Don't do
it. Don't do it, guys.
That.
You have cancer. What?
I am dying. But yeah, it was a classic pec tear, and it was
Yeah.
just really gross and not fun. But
Ouch.
yeah, but going back to what you said, it gives me an opportunity to just work on basics and fundamentals, and like gives me an opportunity to get better at gymnastics, right? Like, cool, perfect. Like, it's not about ego. It could also really be easy to say, like, oh, you know what, that movement, I'm done with it, never doing it again. I just don't have that personality. Like, well, I can get better at them and then move on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But also, so the last thing I wanted to like suggest to people, because where I see people who are they're on the flip side of the people who give up. They're on the side of like, I'm going to recover so fast, which I never somehow, because I am a little crazy when it comes to wanting to prove a point to myself or wanting to get my life back to normal or whatever. Somehow when it's come to all the various injuries, including having knocks, I feel that I did a pretty good job of being smart about my recovery. And I think that's been like really important. So my big suggestion to people is keep moving when you're injured, after your surgery, whatever, do what you can. Listen to the doctor. Like yesterday we were like, hey, Chris, because we were doing push press, you have another arm, like come, and you said the doctor told me not to do that yet. As opposed to getting peer pressured by us.
Which is really easy, by the way.
And luckily, we're a supportive group. We were like, okay, got it. And we're like, oh, come on. You know, we weren't like, oh, come on, stop being whatever. So listen to your doctor. Some doctors are not going to understand what you mean by can I work out. And so some doctors will be like, no, absolutely not. I remember when I was in the hospital with my neck, I asked them if I could squat, and they said, no, you cannot squat. And I literally, like 2 days after surgery, showed them an air squat. I was like, can I do this? And they were like, oh, yeah, you can do that. They just didn't know what I meant, right? So I wouldn't recommend asking them, can I do high-intensity training or CrossFit or whatever words you want to use for what you do. Show them what you mean by that, or explain the movements that you're trying to do. But also listen to them. I didn't have to do a ton of PT with my neck because it's like up high, and there's just not, I mean, other than like being able to get range of motion back, there was not a lot they had me do. I still do have to roll out my T-spine like pretty much every day, or it gets tight and it affects my shoulder and I get like pain in my neck. Stuff. Yeah. But with my knee, there was a lot of PT involved, and I did all of it.
Yeah.
I worked around it and was doing pull-ups and bench press and push-ups and all that stuff, but I did all of the PT, and I took it on their timeline, and it was so boring and sucked, and like had to go in that little machine that like straightens your leg and bends it for you, like for like, I think they wanted it like 4 hours a day.
That's so wild.
And I did all of it. And so I would discourage people from trying to come back and worrying about that spot on their body too much. Work around it, listen to your doctor, do the appropriate PT, take your time, and then slowly go back up. Don't go, oh, I got permission to do push-ups today, so now I'm going to do 100 in the workout. Like, do 10.
Do you even like Murph? Yeah. It's taking it one step at a time, and like mentioned earlier, like it's just a hiccup, and it's just like in the span of your journey, it's a blink.
Yes.
I'll be out of this thing like
6 weeks
time.
Yeah, it's going to go by so fast. And you can either maintain a lot and have a good attitude after 6 weeks, or you can let it completely derail you and then have to start over, or just not even be motivated to start at all and be in a much worse position. Yeah. So I thought it was really cool watching you work out yesterday, especially because, I mean, we're here traveling, and that's another thing that people oftentimes will be like, I'm just not... It's a different time zone. It's a hotel. It's annoying. But we all got in there and made it work. So, again, like I guess the message is the same as a lot of the episodes. It's turning it into a habit and just making it work for you and what you can do in the given moment. So
yeah. Well, thanks for supporting me through this. It's like awesome. I mean, even though I was in that recumbent bike.
Hey, you looked cool. You made it work.
I felt really cool.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.